I think I'm probably going to end up playing Fear 1 again before long. So I'm doing this second veteran run of Doom 3, and yeah, it's still pretty easy. I don't think I want to bother with a nightmare run because I don't know, the health ticking down thing is just, I don't know, it's kind of cheating if you ask me. But I don't really consider it a proper difficulty level. I consider it a novelty, kind of like I guess Nightmare was from the very beginning. But if it were like basically ultra violence with fast monsters or something, right? But then what they call Nightmare now is like Nightmare Plus. I think that would be ideal, but who knows? Maybe there's a mod for that. But I mean, at that point, when you're, getting modded game modes or you're doing self imposed challenges, again, you're not playing Doom 3 anymore. But, you know, I've had my, kind of palette tuned to fucking, like kind of vaguely horror themed, you know, run down, decrepit, industrial warehouse, back alley bullshit video game. So, going on to Fear and Condemn seems like the obvious like path or whatever. Um, I might play Quake 4 first because it's been a while since I played that, but I don't know for sure yet. I like Quake 4, but I don't like it that much. Right? It's not a bad game, but it's unfortunately kind of right in my opinion, and it's very clearly a sequel to Quake 2, and I love Quake 2. And, I do love Quake 4 as well, but I don't love it near as much as Quake 2. Most of the time, if I was going to play Quake 4, I'm like, I might as well, I'd rather play Quake 2, right? And, speaking of that, so I've seen somebody saying on a YouTube video of Doom 3 that people have been not getting their CD keys on Steam anymore because apparently they delisted and this and that. So I'm starting to think more and more that Steam might have actually just straight up removed my version or whatever. But the thing is, the only reason I have Quake 4 on Steam, now it's still there. My guess is because it's technically Raven Software instead of id Software, who are now owned by Microsoft technically. Um, but the thing is, Quake 4, Doom 3, and Resurrection of Evil, I all those activated on Steam using my actual physical CD keys. Now, with my vanilla install, it's been giving me this problem where it's asking me to put the key in, even though I didn't have to do that before with the installation I copied it from. Who knows? Maybe that's some more bullshit they put in the registry or like whatever, so you never think to copy it or some bullshit. But I found there's a workaround I was using, but then I also found another workaround, so I've just been ignoring it. I was like, dude, I'm not paying for it again, right? And sorry, but if I already paid for the game, then I'm going to pirate it if I feel like it's not piracy. I mean, that's what idiots call it, and it's a narrative, like fucking everything else. But if I say piracy, you probably already know what I'm talking about. And it's probably not literally motherfuckers on a ship in the middle of the fucking water type piracy, right? So whatever, just for the brevity and, fucking getting the thoughts out. But no, if I already paid for the game once, then I'll download it if I feel like it. And they can just suck a penis if they don't like it. Sort of like with Boiling Point. I haven't said a whole lot about it because I did download a couple versions, but I'm kind of hesitant of getting like a fucking Russian virus or whatever. You know, not that I'm worried about, Ivan Ivanov Ivanovich or fucking whoever, uh, Boris Yeltsin having my gay porn folder or whatever. I'm not interested in dealing with how it might affect my ability to just use the fucking computer. But you know, like I'll probably end up buying it on GOG if the money will go to the original devs. Just because I would like to just have a legit copy. But yeah, I haven't had a lot to say about Boiling Point, even though I've been thinking about it a lot. But either way, I might fuck with Quake 4. I don't know yet, but I've definitely been in the mood for Fear to the point where I, started watching a Fear speed run, and it's the original Grobo or whatever his name is run off of SDA from like 2006, because it was done on extreme difficulty. Well, stupidly, if you ask me, not only did SDA take it down, he was the one who took it down. And they replaced it with an easy mode speed run that was just using a bunch of out of bound glitches. And kind of embarrassingly, for being on the easiest difficulty and having a bunch of out of bound skips, it's not that much faster than his realistic or his expert run from like 6 years prior. I think the most recent one's from like 2012 or whatever. But whatever, a lot of these speed runs, I watch the really old ones for the same reason, just as a nostalgia thing. But it had me thinking about difficulty in video games and how that can affect the meta and this and that, and whether or not you use exploits, or some people call certain things exploits that I personally wouldn't consider. However, you could maybe more generally call them advantages. But Fear is one of those games. I played it way more than Doom 3. And I've gotten to the point with Fear where I can play extreme difficulty without using slow-mo. And as I've seen some people talk about how they give themselves like self-imposed extra challenges with Doom 3 or whatever because they've ran it into the ground for over 20 years. I do that with Fear, where I'll try to do runs. Not runs, I don't speed run. I'm not near good enough for that, but like just like playthroughs or whatever. With self-imposed challenges, and that's one of them. That's the most obvious one. And what I like about Fear on extreme without slow-mo is the same reason I like Painkiller on trauma difficulty without tarot cards. You could tell that the developers anticipated somebody trying to play the game that way. And in both cases, those games are good examples where they balanced it to where the game still works if you ignore, the tarot cards in the case of Painkiller or the slow-mo in the case of Fear. They both feel really well balanced, even outside of that, even though it's pretty clear that, at least with Fear, they were pretty strongly intending for you to use the slow-mo. And it's just a pinnacle of amazing game design. People can talk about, the AI in Fear, which is phenomenal, and this and that about the game. And, one of the things I like about Fear and Doom 3 and different games like that, I seen a comment on a YouTube video somewhere that I've been just watching a bunch of bullshit recently, and I don't remember who said it or on what video they said it, but they described what I'm trying to talk about probably perfectly, is in that Doom 3 or Fear or whatever, they're not really horror games. They're more like, what they call like amusement, like haunted house. There you go. It's like haunted house type of experiences, right? It's like the stuff will jump out at you, boo, and you're like, oh, right, or like whatever, and like startle you or whatever, and you just showed up for the exhilaration, right? So it was sort of basically what I was trying to say with like Romero zombies, right? The Romero zombies move slow because they're there to get killed in awesome ways, right? And it is horrifying in its own way, but at the same time, a lot of those, kind of voodoo zombie or like true zombie type of movies or like slasher flicks are so obviously there, just for the spectacle. And I think that actually might be a better way of saying it. It's more like a haunted house ride or something, right? And you get the stuff pop out at you or whatever, but it's like, it's not really like horrifying per se. It's just cool. And that's why, a lot of people said that they didn't like the supposed clash between the horror and the fear, the horror and the action elements of Fear. I disagree with that because, I mean, in my opinion, I don't see anything that's clashing. It's going together like it should, right? It's like chocolate and peanut butter or whatever, right? And it's not like, you're playing Resident Evil and all of a sudden you've got, infinite ammo fucking assault rifle or something, just, run through everything or whatever. And like, now who gives a fuck? And just cheapening the experience. But it's very clearly, I don't know, it's like, I use a lot of parallels with like Check Grind or whatever because it just appeals so specifically to me. So because I've been playing Doom 3, um, one of the bands I've been listening to a lot is this. I think they're defunct now, or they might still have a new version. They're like the opposite of most bands. They've been the same dudes the whole time, but every time they want to do something new, they change the name of the band, right? So the one I'm talking about is Negligent Collateral Collapse, and they have an album called Paranormal Nano Division. And, a lot of references. The album cover is literally like, pre-release screenshot of Doom 3. Um, they use a lot of these Czech bands. They'll use a lot of like Quake 3, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Doom 3, whatever type of, um, samples. G Guy actually, one of their songs has a sample from Serious Sam 2, which is funny, especially if you don't know the context of it. But, um, yeah, like Polymer Masters off that album by Negligent Collateral Collapse. Listening to that, dude, I started listening to them in 2003 or 2004. So I found Bizarre Leprous' website, and that label had them on it, and I was super into reading everything about Doom 3. So when I saw that they had like screenshots of that as like the album cover, I was hooked, right? But it's like everything, like it just goes together, and Czech bands will do that sort of chocolate and peanut butter kind of thing with this sort of melding of like electronic music and then grindcore. And so like Ahumado Granujo is an example. It's another Czech band, even though the name is Spanish. Um, or like certain cerebral turbulency albums. I don't know. To me, I don't see it as that they clash. I see it as that they're distinct, but they go together, right? It's like chocolate and peanut butter and banana, fucking like whatever analogy you want to use. But Fear pulls off what it does perfectly. Although another thing I would say is I also believe Fear is like a true horror game, and I'm about to spill into 15 minutes, so I'm going to finish this and I guess maybe make one more one that's actually about kind of like the gameplay strategies of Fear. But like the horror elements of Fear are kind of beneath the surface of the horror action whatever type of experience. But there's a lot of things that aesthetics and all that I love of all these different games, which is why I have periods where I'll just be on a trip of one or the other for a couple weeks, couple months, whatever. But I do like whenever I can actually manage to revel in the escapism. And Fear does such a good job putting the two together that I think it's kind of strange when people act like they don't. I actually think maybe Condemned would be a better example, but Condemned is sort of more kind of like paranormal the whole time or whatever, in a way. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but, you know, Fear on Extreme is one of those games that, like, it feels like it actually is balanced with the expectation that you might try without slow-mo. And, yeah, like, it's awesome and, fuck, right, or, like, whatever bullshit, but at the same time, it's like Doom 3. You played it so long, it's like doing pistols only on like Rainbow Six 3 or like fucking whatever, right? And I'm just going to end this part here, and then this last one I'll kind of more go into the gameplay type of intricacy